Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Danielle. For those of you who do not know me, hi, welcome. I'm so glad you stopped by today. Today I'm going to be ranking 16 of my fall themed palettes, or palettes that I like to wear in the fall. I thought this would be a great way to kind of show you the fall palettes in my collection as well as rank them, because I've gotten into ranking videos. So I'm going to quickly show you the palettes that I picked or that I deem as worthy for this great season known as fall, and then we will jump right into the ranking after I put them in a very specific order and try and remember that I have 16 here, so not to ramble on as I'm doing now. So let's go ahead and jump in and show you the palettes. I also drank an energy drink and I'm kind of wired, so anyway. I digress. We're gonna get into this. The first palette here I have to show you is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Prism Palette. I love this palette for fall. It is absolutely gorgeous. Then I have the Morphe Jaclyn Hill Armed and Gorgeous one. It looks like this. Look at those yellows and green. Then I have the Tribe by Juvia. It looks like that. A Flutter by Colourpop. It looks like that. You'll notice a lot of warm tones. I don't know. I feel like warm tones in fall, but it's mostly like the orangey warm tone. I don't know. Then I have the Makeup Revolution, the Emily Edit the Wants palette. I feel like this palette's huge. Then I have the Nomad by Juvia's Place, which looks like this. I have the ABH Norvina Pro Pigment Volume 3 palette, which I think out of all of the ones that have come out, this one is the most fall. Then I have a Morphe palette that I decorated in Baby Yoda stickers. It's fine. This is the 35M Boss Mood palette that I purchased on a whim or something. I don't know where I got this or why I have it, but I have it. It looks like this. And then we have the Dragon Pile palette. That's what I was gonna call this, the Dragon Pile palette. That's not what it's called. The Dragon Child palette. This is a palette that was from Makeup Monsters Cosmetics, or that is now Menagerie Cosmetics, and it looks like this. Then we have the Feral palette by Menagerie Cosmetics. Mine looks like this. I have one shade that I haven't replaced because I kind of prefer this shade to the shimmer that they switched it to. I don't know, my preference. Then I have the Bad Habit Retro Love. This is a dupe for the Subculture palette. I don't know why I hold things in weird ways. I don't know why I do that. And then I have the Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Thunder palette. The Anastasia, or actually we're just gonna call this the Jaclyn palette. We don't need to mention that brand again. It looks like this. The Moon Spell palette, which looks like this. The Ace Beauty Scarlet Dusk palette. Oh, I don't know why this one screams fall to me now that I'm looking at it, but when I was going through, I pulled it, so it's gonna stay in here. Then we have the fall palette to beat all of the fall palettes. This one is very fall themed. It is the Blush Tribe Fall Fusion palette. Yay, so that was all of the palettes that I'm going to be ranking. I'm going to quickly go and put them in order, and then I will be right back, and hopefully a little less caffeinated. Okay, so this was definitely the hardest to put in order because I love all of these palettes. I want to preface this because some people get their panties in a bunch and get all upset when you put things in orders that they don't agree with or that they don't understand why you're putting it in that order. I love these palettes because they're fall like palettes and I wear them year round, and some of them are newer, some of them are palettes that I've had for years now, and I love them. So just know that if they are in my collection, I love them. I'm not looking to declutter any of these beauties. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start. Number 16 is the Revolution, the Emily Edit, the Wants palette. I'm not gonna lie, I do love this palette. I like to use it for work because I can get colorful looks that are a little more toned down. This is also why this one is in 16th place. It is not the most colorful palette, I would say, like as in terms, okay. It doesn't have the most color payoff. That's what I was trying to say. It's not like some of the other palettes I have that really give that wow factor to my eye looks. This one is a very, very kind of different palette. It is very beginner friendly. I would recommend this to somebody who wants to dabble in color but doesn't want the intense pigment. I'll put it that way. And that is why this one is in the 16th place. Number 15 is my adorably decorated Boss Mood palette. This is the 35M. It looks like this again. It is definitely a very themed, or very fall themed palette. I'm getting ahead of myself when I speak, I apologize. And I do really like this palette as far as a Morphe palette goes. I was kind of shocked that I liked it so much, but it's not, it's so big. It is so big. I don't know why I purchased this. I know I don't like giant palettes. It's kind of the same thing with the Emily Edits palette. It's a big palette. But I do gravitate towards the greens in this palette, and that's really probably why I purchased it, is for the greens. I think that the shimmers are okay, the mattes are okay, it's an okay palette. I am not the most impressed with the Morphe. I am not the most impressed with the Morphe formula, but I do think that this is a beautiful palette, and that is why it has found itself in 15th place. It's just not a wow factor palette. Number 14 is another Morphe palette. This is the Armed and Gorgeous palette. It looks like this. Now, I actually really like this palette. It just does not quite add up to some of the others. I also find the shimmer Coin and Classified to be really chunky, and they just kind of sit very, very oddly on my eyes, and I don't like that. I don't want my eyes to look crepey or older than they are, okay? My eyes are only 31 years old. They're only 31. They don't need to look like that yet. I know they're gonna get there, and it's fine. I'll still probably throw makeup on them. I don't care, but still. They don't need to look like that prematurely, okay? And then that is really, like, the shimmers in this are really why this one found itself in 14th place. Number 13 is the Ace Beauty Scarlet Dusk. I actually like this palette. I just wish that the shimmers were a little more impactful. I think the mattes are beautiful. They're gorgeous. The mattes are gorgeous. I just don't gravitate towards this one as much as I thought I would. There's a couple of other Ace Beauty palettes that I really want to try, and I've played with this one a couple of times, and I think I need to play with it a bit more, but just in those terms, it's also gives me very kind of modern Renaissance-y vibes. It's just that warm kind of palette that everyone has, so it's not anything super special. So that is why this one found itself in 13th place. These next palettes were so hard to place. Like, from 12 all the way to first place, this was so hard. I kept switching things, so it was hard to do. The 12th place palette is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Prism Palette. I like this palette, and I know a lot of people do not like this palette. I just think that there could have been a couple of more colors that really kind of go together. It could have been a bit more of a cohesive palette. I like it because it challenges me when I use it. And I really have to kind of think this palette right here is really fun if you want to do palette bingos or face-offs, because you can get some very interesting looks, or you can get something that is completely neutral. I will say this, that a couple of the shades in here are a little hard to deal with. They get a little bit of hard pan. My Sphinx shade, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it has just a little bit of hard pan on it. I always have to scrape that one off, but I do like it. This black shade I think is very, very intense. It's still a very intense black shade, but I like that they included a black to kind of deepen things up. I love a good black shade. I am just that person who's like, oh, if there's a black in it, I can deepen it up. I like to do that. I know not everyone does, and I know that there's kind of mixed feelings on having a black in a palette, but I love it. And I love a good one that can be worked with. Number 11 is this behemoth here. This is the ABH Norvina collection. Pro Pigment Palette Volume 3. It looks like this. This is a bright kind of autumn palette to me. It has some of those deeper oranges. It has a lot of really, really good mattes. The shimmers, I'm just gonna say it, the shimmers suck ass, okay? I know graphic language, Danielle, but they do. These shimmers in here are not good shimmers. They're not the standard that ABH usually upholds in their palettes, and that's kind of a letdown. Like, the shimmers look absolutely gorgeous in pan, but I feel like they really have to be worked with on the eyes. And I'm not somebody who always puts down a glitter glue, and I don't always want to do that when I play with shimmers. It's kind of a nuisance to me. I will to get them to work, but it annoys me because sometimes I just want to throw it on quickly and walk out the door. I'm not always doing my makeup for YouTube. I'm a real person. Sorry, that was a little intense. But the mattes in this are amazing. They beat the mattes in the Prism palette, and that's why I kind of kept going back and forth with those two palettes of kind of like, oh, this one should be 11th, this one should be 12th, and kind of really going over those thoughts in my head. But the mattes beat the mattes in the Prism palette. They just do. If that Sphere shade was as bright as the green as this one here, because I think they're very close, and as pigmented and as just nice, because the Sphere shade you have to kind of pack on. That one you can pack on, but you can blend it out and it doesn't blend away. It's a miracle. But that is why this one found itself in 11th place. If the shimmers were better, it would have ranked higher. Then we have the Flutter palette by Colourpop. My little sister got this one for me, and I love it. It's more like this bottom row that really screams fall to me. I like the, okay, I don't just like the pressed glitters in here. I really like them. They're really good pressed glitters. I'm pretty impressed with that. The shimmers are gorgeous. This one, Dwindle, I'm going to swatch it. It's so pretty. It's so creamy. Oh, yes, I swatched it twice. I have a towel right here. It's fine. But this is a gorgeous palette, and I wish that they still had it available because I think a lot of people would like this, because you can get those intense kind of fall looks with that bottom row, or you can go much softer but still kind of have a fall feel, and I like that. And this is why this one found itself in 10th place. Okay. We're getting there. We are getting there. The Bad Habit Retro Love palette found itself in 9th place. It looks like this, and I can't help but think that this is a very, very fall palette. I really like the quality of this palette. I was pretty impressed with it. It works really well. The colors are very, very spot on for the ABH. The shades are very, very on par with the Subculture palette. I actually did a collab, a face-off a while ago with my friend Shannon, who needs to just get back to doing YouTube. That's just my opinion. Allegedly, not allegedly, it's my opinion. I've been watching way too many drama videos, and every time they say like allegedly, anyway, I digress. But we did a face-off, and I used this one while she used the Subculture palette, and it turned out really, really well. And I like the shimmers in this. I don't get the hard pan that some people got with the Subculture and the shimmers. I don't get as much fallout. I mean, okay, mine's still a bit messy, so there is still some fallout. it is what it is, but I do really like this kind of color story. The reason that this one is not higher is just because I have palettes with formulas that I like a lot better. I'm just gonna be real. This is not a bad palette. This is a palette that I love, that I have in my collection, and that I need to give a lot more love to. But the palettes from here on out just have a formula that I like a lot better. The palette that found itself in 8th place is the Dragon Child palette. Now, while this palette may not scream kind of fall for you, this is fall to me because it gives you that much more grungy kind of look. And when I think fall, I do think grunge. I can't help it. I think purple, dark, deep, kind of grungy looks. I don't know why. It's not just the changing of the leaves, but it's deepening those eye looks and just kind of going for those kind of vampy looks. And that's why I picked this palette, because while you can get some bright looks out of this, you can also get very kind of vampy, deep, dark looks. And I will say this, I'm not the biggest fan of the shimmers in this, but the mattes are so pigmented. They are so pigmented. They are beautiful, and I wish that Menagerie still carried the singles at least of some of these mattes, because I think people would absolutely love them. And I feel bad talking about this palette every single time in some of these videos, because not everyone can get a hold of this palette, but it is one that I consider a fall palette, and those those mattes will stain your eyes. They stain mine every single time. It doesn't matter what base I wear. I've tried different things and I still get some staining on my eyes. So these are very intense, and that is why it finds itself in the 8th place. Okay, this is where things get a little dicey. It just is. It gets dicey. This was hard, okay? It was hard. It was not easy. I wish it was. Sorry, I'm being dramatic. It's the caffeine. This is what caffeine does to me. Whatever. The palette in 7th place is the Blush Tribe Fall Fusion palette. Now this one just screams fall in your face. This is a fall palette. Now, these two shades look freaking the same on the eyes. They just do. I don't care what anyone says, they look the same. If I put one on one eye and one on the other eye, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. I do love the shimmers in this though. The shimmers are fantastic. I do wish that this yellow was a little bit more pigmented. I think I've said that. But yeah, this one screams fall. It's like fall in your face, like, yes. And there are a few shades that I would change out just so it screams a little bit more fall, but that's just me. I am somebody who, as you guys know, I love the quality of Blush Tribe's palettes. I love their formula. It just works really well on my eyes. This one, I was actually shocked that I did not put this one higher. But as I was looking at the other ones I picked, I was like, you know what? This one's got to fall from grace a little bit. I have it so hyped up in my mind, but I don't use it as often. And there are some shades that I'm like, they're okay. So that is why this one found itself in 7th place. I don't know if I said this, but feel free to agree or disagree with me in the comments of where I place these. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on some of these palettes. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Do you want to see me use them? You know, things like that, but just leave that in the comment section. Then the 5th place is the Celestial Thunder Dominique Cosmetics palette. I wish I had the full one, but this screams fall to me, and it is kind of those orange, that brown, these deeper kind of shimmers up here. I freaking love this. I'm wearing some of the shades on my eyes as well as with a couple of other palettes and things, but there's just something about this that kind of, it gives me fall vibes, but it also challenges me. It really challenges me with this teal and this deep shimmer. I really like that about a palette, and I love the quality of these. I love the shimmers. I want to try more from Dominique Cosmetics, and if you guys have any recommendations of a palette I should pick up from this brand, please leave that down below. I just think this is absolutely gorgeous, but it did not beat out the other palettes that I have in my stack. So that is why this one finds itself in 6th place. The 5th place contender is the Nomad by Juvia's Place. It looks like this. It is a very kind of fall, neutrally palette. It has that mustard kind of yellow green that I absolutely love. I guess more like khaki green, but yes. And it has like this mustard shade. It has the yellow, this yellow that has glitter in it. That drives me crazy. That's partially why this one got put a little lower, because I am not a big fan of like mattes with glitter in them. I'm just not. I wish it wasn't there. I also love this green. But this one is also more in 5th place because it is more neutral leaning. It is a little bit deeper than, or it's a little more neutral leaning. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know why words aren't coming out of my mouth. I do wish that we had like another kind of medium shimmer. I'm not the biggest fan of this dark shimmer, and I am somebody who absolutely normally loves Juvia's Place shimmers, but for me, it's not the shimmers in this palette, it is the mattes. And that's kind of why this one found itself in 5th place. Okay, I'm gonna say this, don't shoot me. Okay, I love this palette, but do not shoot me. I get it. It should have gone higher. I understand, but in my heart of hearts, I couldn't put it any higher than it is. Okay? The Moonspell palette by Lunar Beauty. Sorry if that hurt headphone users' eyes. It looks like this. This I would say is a brighter kind of fall palette. I love that this came out around Halloween. I love a good purple, and you have a whole row of purple leaning shades for fall. I also think that purple and green and teal and all of these shades are perfect for fall. I think that is so fun. This one found itself in 4th place, and it's more because it doesn't have the shades that I gravitate towards as much as the other shades in the other palettes. I do love this palette. I've talked about this. This hands down has some of the most beautiful packaging, which is also why it is higher up on the list. I can't help it. I had to rank it partially because packaging, okay? I'm also curious because I know this has been in another video, and I wonder if any of these palettes have been in other videos and if they've beat this palette in past videos and I've just changed my mind. I don't know. I can't remember. I've done so many videos. But I do love the shimmers. They're not my favorite. I kind of prefer the mattes. Some of the shimmers are a little chunky for my taste, but I do like this palette. If I'm going to go up against with what's coming up is what I'm trying to say. And that's why this one found itself in 4th place. It's not a bad palette. I love it. Don't hate me. 3rd place is the Feral palette by Menagerie Cosmetics. Now this has nothing to do with the shimmers, okay? We're just gonna pretend they're not here. And hear me out why I think this one is good for fall. You can deepen it up with this dark brown and give it kind of that earthy kind of fall. You have your green, your purple, your orange, and your yellow. That's really what a fall palette is typically normally made of. Let me have my dream of this being a fall palette. I still think it's a fall palette. It's just a brighter fall palette, and sometimes I think that's fun, especially around Halloween time, to kind of have those brighter shades. I love the mattes. I love the mattes. The shimmers are a little bit chunky for my like. They give me that kind of crepey, you have 80-year-old woman eyes, and again, I'm 31. I don't need that yet. I'm going to get there. It's going to take me a little bit longer, but I'm going to get there. I don't need to get there today. I do really like the mattes though. They're very good quality. They're very pigmented, and that is why this one found itself in 3rd place. 2nd place is the Tribe palette by Juvia. It looks like this. This palette is fall to me. This palette is a happy fall to me because it has greens, it has orange, it has this pop of like lime green. The shimmers in this are absolutely stunning. I mean, look at this one. Look at that orange. It's gorgeous. I love the mattes in this, and I love the shimmers in this. I love this palette. I love it. It's one of my favorite palettes in my entire collection, and I will be using it a lot more in the fall. We're in the fall. Okay, I live in Arizona. It is still like 110 outside or hotter, so I'm not quite ready for it to be fall, but I am. But the weather's not letting me be in like a fall mood, so it's throwing me off a little. Also, you're gonna see this weeks down the road, and probably by then it will be more like fall in Arizona. It'll be like 90 degrees, which is fall in Arizona. And that is why this one finds itself in second place, and also because it can't just beat the #1 fall palette I have in my collection. I don't care if you guys think this one's fall. I do. I like to use it during the fall. I like to use it during the summer. I like to just use it. Okay? It's the Jaclyn palette. It looks like this. I love a good kind of purple for the fall. I can't help it. And this has some of the most beautiful pinky purple shades. I also love this right here, this kind of red shimmer wigglies. And then the gold kind of bronzy shades. I actually have one of them on my eye right now. I have Zam on my eye. I love this palette. I love it. It is such a good palette, and I think it works on so many skin tones, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I also have the purple on my eyes right now. Big Wig, that one right there. And the packaging's really pretty. It's just, this is really, really good quality. It is such a beautiful palette, and I think Jaclyn did such a good job picking the shades. I mean, this is her palette. It is gorgeous. I love it. I love using it, and you will see me using it a lot more in the fall. And that is why it is in first place, because it just beats all the rest. Like when I think of a good fall palette that I want to reach for, it's this one. I can't help it. You might not think it's a fall palette, but I do. That's all that matters. It's my video. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and leave a comment down below so that we can chat. I had so much fun doing this video. I'm sorry it's like a million years long and I keep rambling. It's just who I am on caffeine. You're welcome. But yes, I do love each and every one of these palettes in my collection, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!